Alright, what's up guys? What I got here is a board. Kind of already hit these and pre-tinned them. It's kind of be just a quick class for y'all that are struggling with your soldering. I took some stuff off of this board so you can see the solder looks really shitty there, and there's a couple clean pads we're going to do a little work on. Kind of show y'all how I do this. First thing is I use good solder. It's rosin core 6040. It's pretty thick. You don't have to get it that thick, but I use thick solder. It just lasts a little longer. I do a lot of building, so I go through a lot of solder. But this is just to make it build PDB Maytech system. We're just going to do a real quick little demonstration on how I do it anyway. You know, a lot of people use flux. I don't use flux. This rosin core, basically, if it has it in it, you don't need it. So good solder saves time, saves money. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to clean these pads up right here that ain't real clean and make them look like these over here. This camera kind of sucks, so you ain't going to get a super good focus, but you can see the difference from that side to that side. So basically I've got my station set about 445 because we're doing heavy solder. You get on little stuff, you don't need it this high. 320, 350, 360, littler stuff. I run it kind of high for boards, heavy wire, battery cables, ESCs. I want to make sure I got a good solder. I don't want it failing. Make sure we can see good. Alright, looks alright to me. So basically what you want to do, get your gun, your iron. I like to dab a little solder on it, just clean it off, just get it nice and good, ready. And say these ones we've already done, clean them up. You want to get a little heat on there, come to the board. And now you can see those look a lot better than they did. Okay, you got two clean pads here that ain't soldered yet. What you want to do is kind of heat the pad for a second. Clean my iron off. Make sure you don't have any gum shit on your iron. You don't want a bunch of junk on there. Get over here, get you some heat on there. Dab it a little bit. Let it soak, and you'll see it'll walk the whole pad. Okay, basically what we just did there is pre-tin the board. Okay, you want to do that on all your boards. You want to get solder on the board before you start laying wire on it and soldering. The reason being is because solder will melt to itself and stick to itself a lot better than it will just copper if there's nothing underneath it and you try to solder straight to the top of it with nothing under it. So always pre-tin your board. Alright, we're going to go one of these little pads over here. Usually you don't want to use a tip that big. That's a big tip, but I've been doing it for a while, so I can still get it on there pretty good. This is my VTX pad. Heat the pad up just a second. Throw a little solder on it. Boom, 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 boom. That's simple. You've pre-tinned the whole side. So all that's good. Board's ready to go. On your wire, see, there ain't no solder on there yet. Same thing, you always want to pre-tin it. Some people like to twist it up real tight. I don't do it too tight, that way the solder actually goes through the wire and not just around it. Take your iron, heat the wire for just a second, start laying your solder on it. Okay, once you started getting it hot, you'll notice it'll start coming through both sides. It'll even soak through and start bubbling. Now I know that solder is all the way through that wire. If you look, it's got solder all the way around it. You always want to make sure you got solder on top and bottom of your wire, because when you don't, you just do it on one side, it'll only stick to one side. So what we're going to do next is we're going to solder this on to a pad. This is a normal battery size cable for most of your racers. Some of your bigger quads, the ESCs, wires, it's about the normal size for them. It's 14 gauge. So when you solder to the board, what I like to do, try to get this to where y'all can see it and I can see it. Usually you want to have this in a helping hand, but I'm going to do this on the table so you can see, because mine's kind of disabled right now. Tilt this camera a little more. What I like to do is kind of put the heat to it, get your iron, your solder, put your little solder on your tip, because it's going to help this on your wire melt. If you don't, it's going to take a long time. If you hold it, you'll notice the solder starts coming across everything. You'll see it spread across your pad. Once you get done, you just kind of pull it off slow. Add a little solder if you're doing it. And basically what that'll leave you with is a nice bead instead of a rough looking wire hanging out there where you see wire and just a little bit of solder. Now, I can tell you right now, from experience, you'll pull a pad before you ever pull that solder off of that bead. And that is how I solder. Now we're going to do a little wire, basically to show you, same thing. Like I said, most people use a smaller tip to do this than me, but I've been at it for a while, so I'm not quite as worried about it. I know that if you get a little solder on another pad next to it that's small, all you got to do is knock the wire off and you can get the solder off of there, no problem. Everything's fixable, trust me. When it comes to boards, power distributions, FCs, if you splatter solder on something, you can get it off with a soldering iron if you take your time and know what you're doing. It's not real hard once you learn. I mean, it's scary at first, but you think you screwed something up, but it's all fixable. Little bitty wire. I'm using a big tip. I'm going to turn the heat down to about 350. Let it cool down just a second. And then I'm going to touch the wire first, add the solder to it. That fast it's done. And one thing I want to show you real fast, some people get a little worried. If you got a little extra wire left, you don't want that much. If you don't want that much, to go through an FC to pin in like a receiver or something, you wanted about that much, wire showing. But if you're going on power boards, you may not want that much. All you got to do is clip it. And you can shorten it. Easy, easy, easy. And then to put this on the board, it's something that don't take but a second. These are real quick, these little solders. So say this is my cam ground, which is going to be here. Basically, I just hold these little wires because it's real easy. Make sure y'all can see this. I'm going to go backwards so y'all can see. But basically, just real quick, set the wire on there. And that fast, it's done. I don't want to pull too hard because I don't want to pull the pad off, but you can see that ain't going nowhere. So that's all you got to do on thin wire, so you don't melt the insulation back where it shorts out on the wire next to it. And that's a quick class on soldering. Hope that helps some of y'all. Alright guys, thanks a lot.